What is up? Good morning or afternoon or evening, I guess, whenever you're watching this video. For me, it's morning, it's early, it's Monday. I'm up in LA and I had a long commute this morning, as I do most Mondays. And I was thinking about a video I was watching yesterday. I was going through my videos of the weekend, did a lot of fun things with the family, and I went back a few weeks and I saw a bunch of videos I took from the San Diego Science Museum. So I took my kids a few weekends back, and they have a really cool exhibit. It travels around the country apparently. It's a Mythbusters exhibit. So if you've ever seen the show Mythbusters, it's kind of all those different characters and ultimately different things that the kids can do and try out, see how the Mythbusters busted some things or proved some theories correct. And they have one that I really love that I'm gonna show you a video of right now. So basically what the theory was is, do you get more wet in the rain if you run or if you walk? So some people thought, well, if I'm running, yes, I get to whatever point A to B quicker, but because I'm running so fast, I'm catching more rain that's falling down and getting, more wet. Other people said, well, if you're walking, it's just gonna take you longer to get from point A to point B, and so by the time you get to B, you're gonna be more soaking wet, right? And so as you can see, I'll show it again, my daughter running back and forth, she did the test multiple times, and the reality was, the math pointed out that you actually get more wet if you're just walking. So the reality is, the longer it takes you to get from point A to point B, the more soaking wet you're going to be. What that has to do with presenting, especially when it comes to sales presentations and presenting in front of a group, is that we oftentimes think, I gotta get as much content in this presentation as I can, and I sprint through it, right? I go as fast as I can. But in presenting, we don't want to just get through the content, right? We actually want to soak our audience in whatever it is we're talking about. Whether it's a sales presentation, right? We want to get into the nuts and bolts of what the product has, the features, the advantages to the guest. We want to have a conversation, a dialogue. We want to really have a good experience. If you're presenting in front of a group, you want to take 1 or 2 or 3 topics at most and dive into them so that people can actually understand to the point when they could even go and talk to someone else about it, right? Transference of your particular topic. But that's not what we do. We go, I got 10 things, so I'm gonna race through it and give them all this information, and guess what? They get 0 when they do that. So it's the opposite of what this analogy is about as far as getting wet, because we want your audience to be soaked, right, in the information. And so I'm gonna give you a tip, something I've done forever, got this back from an adult learners workshop that I used to teach with Matt Anderson and a few other people, and at the end of the day, it's very simple, right? You take a typical hour block of time, right? So here's your block. At the end of the day, it's 60 minutes, correct? So we got a 60-minute block. And the easy strategy you can do for any presentation, especially when you're up in front of a group, is to break this down into 3 chunks. So I'm gonna do it this way. So I got 20, 20, 20, okay? 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here. Each one of these topics can have no more than one main thing that you teach in a 20-minute chunk, okay? So if you just think about an hour and say, all right, I have an hour to present, okay, I've got all these things. You need to go through your list and figure out what are the 3 things that I'm actually gonna cover. Because in each of these 20-minute chunks of time, you have to, give the person the why behind why a topic is important. You have to kind of talk about all the nuts and bolts of that specific thing. You have to train them on how to do it or say it or speak it or whatever it is that you're talking about, right? And then you have to figure out some way to practice it. And we know that in your audience is going to be made up of people who are kinesthetic, auditory, and visual, which means if you're going to really get through to each one of those people, you have to do something in that 20-minute block just to get them to understand that topic. So I look at it this way, then you got to break it this way. So you have to do something for a visual, a kinesthetic, or an auditory person. So you see all these little chunks of time? This is a lot. And if you think about trying to hit 9 different chunks of time over 3 topics, that's a full hour. And so just remember this, when you present, slow down. The least topics, but the more depth to each one, the better your audience is going to be able to take the information and run with it.